The person who asked, "What's the difference between heaven and hell?" A woman passed away and found herself at the gates of heaven, where St. Peter stood waiting for her. St. Peter opened his large book and scanned through it thoughtfully. After some time, he looked up and said, "I see both good and bad in you. So I'm unsure where you belong. What do you think? Where should I send you?" The woman hesitated, scratching her head. "I'm not sure," she replied. "What's the difference between heaven and hell?" St. Peter smiled knowingly. "Perhaps I should show you and let you decide for yourself." The woman agreed, and with a wave of his hand, St. Peter opened the doors to hell. The woman gasped. Before her stretched an endless table, covered in a feast more mouth-watering than she could have imagined. The table was filled with delicious meats, golden roast chickens, fresh baked bread, still steaming, vibrant salads, and fruits from every corner of the earth. But the sight was marred by the people sitting on either side of the table. Miserable, emaciated souls squabbled with each other, their faces lined with hunger and anger. "Why aren't they eating?" the woman wondered aloud. St. Peter gestured for her to look closer. The woman then noticed that each person held an enormous spoon. It was far too long to reach their own mouths. Despite the bounty before them, they couldn't feed themselves and seemed unwilling to help each other. Instead, they fought over the food. Their plates were untouched and their bodies were weak and thin. After a moment, St. Peter asked, "Have you seen enough?" The woman nodded, speechless. St. Peter closed the doors of hell and, with another wave, opened the doors to heaven. This time, the woman was greeted by a similar scene, an endless table filled with food. Though the fare was far simpler, there were some loaves of bread, cheese, olives, a few vegetables, wine, and water. The food looked fresh but plain. It was nothing like the lavish spread in hell. Yet the people around the table radiated happiness. They were laughing, eating, drinking, and sharing in each other's joy. Intrigued, the woman noticed that these people too held the same long-handled spoons as those in hell. But here, each person cheerfully used their spoon to feed the person across from them. They took turns in a rhythm of mutual care and enjoyment. The atmosphere was warm, joyful, and harmonious. After a moment, St. Peter closed the doors to heaven and looked at the woman. "So," he asked, "have you decided yet?" The woman hesitated, then said, "I have one question. In hell, the table was filled with far more delicious food and drinks, but everyone looked miserable and sick. In heaven, there was only simple food and plain wine, yet everyone looked healthy and joyful. How can that be?" St. Peter smiled gently. "The answer is simple. Both heaven and hell follow the same rule." Curious, the woman asked, "What is this rule?" St. Peter replied, "You may eat and drink only if the person beside you feeds you or places the cup to your lips. In heaven, the people are selfless and happy to help each other. But in hell, the people are stubborn and selfish, refusing to help one another. That's the difference." And with that, the woman understood.